The death penalty is murder, and the definition of murder is the permitted killing of one human being by another. Now, my opposing side might say that murder and crime in general will go up if the death penalty is gone. But it does still happen. People do still murder from choosing to kill and do crime with the death penalty allowed. So this should show you that murder and crime will still happen, yes, but it will happen anyways, even if the death penalty is still here. So, wouldn't murder be murder in any case, even if it's ordered by a judge or it's willed by a psychopath? To tell the truth, it is still murder. Can't change that no matter what you do. To take a person's life cruelly and unfairly, which this has happened before in a few cases, is still going to be murder. And even if it's fair and quick, it would still be considered murder. Immoral, unethical, wrong are all words that describe capital punishment. A prime example of these is that one man, Joseph Wood, gasped over 600 times, and the execution took about 2 hours. Long enough for Wood's defender to ask the U.S. Supreme Court to intervene and stop the execution as it was happening. The first one suggests, Lyman Davis, the first one to suggest that Wood was awake for at least some portion of that, and with it lasting about 2 hours, he could have been in a considerable amount of pain for that whole time, so capital punishment has to be immoral and unethical from the great deal of problems that can occur, therefore making it a slow, painful death.
The cost of life in prison is also less expensive than the death penalty. The death penalty can cost on average $1.25 million. 90,000 of that is taxpayers' money. Life in prison costs $90,000 a year, and that's just with the government. This means the death penalty isn't only bad for prisoners, it's more expensive. It's only $6,480 per year on taxes. After 50 years in prison, which is lucky for how long you live in prison, would only cost about $324,000, and that's with taxpayers compared to the quite a bit more expensive death penalty.
The death penalty is not proven to deter murder. The police and prisons are the ones that deter murder. This is shown by just looking at the states that have chosen not to have the death penalty. Like our own state, Iowa, doesn't have the death penalty. This is because they don't think it's constitutional or it's crossing a line of murder. So what gives the right for a man to kill someone and then be killed? I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but as a kid, I was always taught 2 wrongs don't make a right.
There are some crimes so heinous that the death penalty is the only appropriate sentence. John Scully, member of the Washington Legal Foundation. The U.S. should be allowed to practice the death penalty without controversy from the public. It is reserved only for the worst crimes and the worst criminals. Life without parole prisoners use up too many resources. $47,102 per inmate per year is wasted on these inmates. States need an ultimate punishment for prisoners who fail to cooperate with the law. Our first argument is that the death penalty is reserved for only the most heinous crimes. Only 132 executions have taken place nationwide since the Supreme Court lifted its unofficial moratorium on the death penalty in 1976, fewer than 10 a year. Richard L. Worsnop. As you can see, the penalty is only given when necessary and is set up very carefully. Our second argument is that life without parole prisoners wastes many resources. A kid named Weldon Angelos has been sentenced to prison for 55 years, and the state will pay a total of $1.5 million just to house him. We now spend about $6.4 billion a year on federal prisons, about a quarter of the Justice Department's entire budget. Senator Patrick Leahy on mandatory minimum sentencing. All that money we're wasting should be used for food, clothing, and education, not for housing workers. Our third argument states that the states need an ultimate punishment for prisoners who continue to fail to obey constitutional
Martin failed to return and he raped a woman and stabbed her male companion multiple times. A life sentence without parole does not satisfy the needs of society.
Okay. 2 minutes, both sides, to prepare the votes.
Like, what's the death penalty? I've killed a bee. I've killed a fish. I used to have another fish. His name was Finzy. My fish right now is in bubbles. So original. No, I've actually had it for almost a year. It'll be a year today. A goldfish. Goldfish was mine. No, they don't. I was killed them like the first 6 months. Not my dad. My dad has it for like a year and a half. Yeah, it was old. So my first fish was a glowfish. Oh, I love that. Yeah, yeah, we had a glowfish and everything. No, like a bowl. Like blood. A bowl. I put my fish in, you know, like the Easter egg baskets, like the little plastic bucket. I put it in there. I filled it with water and put it in there. Why? Because I didn't have a fish pool and I wanted a fish. Oh, look here at your bucket. Are you stupid? Oh, that's nasty. And then my second fish was like, I forget what it's called. My name is Mr. Boo Boo. Boo does that. The line. Love is always on time. That was not too bad.
You guys ended up talking about that it's a waste of resources for life in prison without parole. And that in itself is just horrible, trying to say that a human life is just a waste of resources. And you also said in your opening, your first argument and your third, that it's the ultimate punishment. You're basically saying they deserve it for their crimes. And if you're saying they deserve death for their crime, that in itself is basically just giving justification for killing someone. Just think, the defendant could use similar argument, justifying his murder. You can't just have people going around justifying the killing of others.
My opponent may say that killing the killer is not okay, but it's not a person killing the murderer. It's his actions that's killing him. It's simply justice. And we're not debating whether the death is painful. We are debating if the people alive deserve their own penalty. And what's worth more, money or lives? Life without parole prisoners don't contribute to society at all. Therefore, we don't need to house them and we don't need to pay for their expenses.
So as we have proven, the death penalty can be considered unconstitutional, with it being a possible cruel and unusual punishment. As the examples have given, it is also very costly in the manner that it costs a great deal of money, just as life in prison would, which also kills the prisoners eventually. To add on that it hasn't been proven to deter a prisoner from committing a crime such as murder, even though the amount of people to commit crimes goes down, but only by one. If you're really thinking about it, convicts sentenced to death don't really deserve the punishments they got. They are living, breathing people just like us.
death penalty is and going to be practiced in the United States without conflict from the public. The death penalty is reserved for the worst crimes. Housing these prisoners is wasting resources. The states need ultimate punishment for those who choose to take the lives of others. These prisoners knew what they were doing and they think they can get away with it. If we give these immoral criminals a chance to escape at any second and cause more pain and suffering, who are we really hurting?
I don't keep it up.